Next up, we're going to invite Tom Ruwitch of Story Power Marketing. Tom is a consultant, a content marketing expert, and the founder of Story Power Marketing. Tom is a digital marketing pioneer who founded the email marketing software and services company MarketVolt in 2001, before most business people had even heard of email marketing. Today, Tom coaches Today, coaches, consultants, and other experts hire Tom to power up their stories because most dish out the same old boring content that turns off prospects, and then they feel frustrated and stuck. Tom helps them transform content from boring to brilliant, turn marketing from frustrating to fun, and convert results from pitiful to profitable. If you want to catch a reader's attention, if you want to invite them in, if you want to inspire them to read on, you must have a captivating subject line or headline. Storytelling standout Tom Ruwitch will share simple, actionable tips to turn your subject lines and headlines from blah to brilliant. Please welcome Tom.
We are going to start this presentation with a quiz. So the question for you seems like an easy question based on the topic of this presentation. What is the most important factor, for getting an email open? Answers?
Subject line.
Subject line, subject line.
Subject line.
Subject line.
Who it's coming from.
Oh, Kara, I think you've been hanging out with me a little bit.
A little bit.
Kara said, who the email is coming from, the from name. So, if you establish that your readers know, like, and trust you when your email lands in their inbox, it doesn't matter what the subject line says. They're going to want to open it. But here's the thing. Most of you have not gotten to the point where readers know, like, and trust so much that they say, oh, it's an email from fill in the blank, I'm going to open it. So we have to start by writing better headlines. We have to start by writing better subject lines, because that is the second most important factor in terms of why people will open your email or read your ad or whatever the case may be. Actually, headlines and ads, where it's a cold audience, that's a much different thing. But I'm really focusing today on subject lines and emails. Second quiz question. Omitting words like a, the, and, is, and so forth, who can guess what the two words are that I use most commonly in my subject lines? Hint, one of the words is in the title of this presentation.
Yeah.
Omitting and is in the what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a bunch of subject lines that I have sent to my list. I send emails Monday through Friday. People read them. When I skip one, which happens very rarely, people email me and say, "Where was today's email?" So it's working. People open them at great rates. And I'm going to share with you actual subject lines, many of them from my own email campaigns. And I'm going to explain to you the strategies and the tips and the underlying idea behind them. You're going to see a lot of how and why, starting with why knowledge alone will get you nowhere. Why knowledge alone will get you nowhere. And what that word why does, what this subject line does, is it sparks curiosity. When you write a headline with the word why blank, the person who reads it naturally thinks, yeah, why? I want to know. It's an unanswered question. Why knowledge alone will get you nowhere. Curiosity is the most important and powerful tool that you can leverage in headline writing and subject lines. If all you do is make curiosity inspiring subject lines, you'll be doing okay. Knowledge alone will get you nowhere. Leonardo da Vinci and I share this problem. What problem? That's a curiosity headline again. 80%, 75%, I don't know, some massive percentage of subject lines are right, are curiosity inspiring headlines. But this one adds a little wrinkle. It's another tip for you, and that is cultural references. Refer to famous people, refer to celebrities, refer to events that people know. It draws them in. Everybody knows Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci and I share this problem. Curiosity plus cultural reference. Are you stuffing chocolates down your shirt like Lucy Ricardo? Okay. That is also, of course, a cultural reference. Lucy Ricardo, I Love Lucy, perhaps the most famous episode of that show ever, one of the greatest half hours of television comedy ever. And it's also a provocative question. Provocative questions are great for headlines and subject lines. Cultural reference, provocative question. Top Gun marketing tips, how to pilot your business to soaring success. I wrote that subject line the day after I saw the new Top Gun movie. Great movie, by the way. Cultural reference, relevant, timely, draws people in. But this is the first of the headlines that has a very specific reference to a business benefit, a desired outcome. Pilot your business to soaring success. That combination of curiosity plus promised benefit and outcome, those are powerful headlines. If you can build in a promised outcome, something you're going to deliver, open this and this is what you'll learn, you're going to draw people in. How to thrive, not just survive during these crazy days. Same thing. There is a how, or the how formula, the why formula, how to thrive, not just survive during these crazy days. How? I want to know. And thrive, not just survive. That thrive, not just survive, the recession, if we're in a recession, that economic downturn, it's current, it's relevant, people are concerned about it, there's an implied benefit here, and there's curiosity. The sad tale of a guy who failed at content creation. Okay. So cautionary tale stories are great content pieces. Okay. But really cautionary tales imply I'm going to show you a better way. I'm not just going to tell you a sad story and hope you figure out the lesson. There's a lesson in cautionary tales. The sad tale of a guy who failed at content creation. Same deal. That doesn't use the word how or why, but that is curiosity inspiring. And it implies, all right, I don't want to fail at content creation. I want to succeed at content creation. So people are inspired to open that email. You can be a dominating marketing presence. Here's how, slight variation. It doesn't start with how, it doesn't start with why, but who doesn't want to be a dominating presence in their market? Who doesn't want to be the leader in their niche? The standout. That's one of the things I promise. Be a storytelling standout. Be the one that people notice in their niche. Be the one whose emails are open because it's from you, not just because you wrote a great subject line. So there's a big promise in that. Here's how. How? Want to know. I'm going to open the email. Again, curiosity, benefit, outcome. Reply quickly if you want a better website. A call to action subject line. I'm delivering a promise, a benefit, an outcome, and there is a direct call to action. And by the way, reply quickly if you want a better website is the kind of subject line that may generate a lower open rate, but a higher response rate. Lower open rate, higher response rate. Good subject line. I'd rather have a lot of people raise their hand and say, yep, I want to meet, than have a lot of people open the email and have no one say they want to meet. Very strategic. Call to action emails, especially that promise a more narrow benefit. I'm not worried about my website. I just built my website. Everything's good. Those people might not open that email. But anyone who's worried about their website, who's afraid their website kind of stinks, they're going to open that email and they will reply to the call to action that is in that email. Fewer opens, more responses. Do toddlers write better emails? You may be surprised. So that one is a benefit and outcome with a sort of counterintuitive inspiration to curiosity. Yesterday, I wrote a subject line that said, warning, funny stuff enclosed or funny stuff inside. Counterintuitive. And that sort of counterintuitive thing, people do a double take, but then they're like, those get good open rates and response rates. So there's a benefit here. I want to write better emails. Toddlers write better emails. Curiosity and counterintuitiveness. How to captivate the audience, how to captivate an audience the Zelensky way. Zelensky, president of Ukraine. Very shortly after the war started, after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Zelensky did a virtual speaking tour. Spoke to the U.S. Congress, spoke to the House of Commons and British Parliament, spoke the German Parliament, and so forth. And there was brilliant storytelling that spoke to the Israeli Knesset. Brilliant storytelling that was rooted in his understanding of each different audience. What Zelensky did was very consistent with what I teach about how to draw an audience in, how to captivate them, how to connect with them, how to get them to listen to you and do what you ask them to do, which in his case was support his war effort. So the Zelensky way, anybody, the war has sort of lingered and we're not paying as much attention. When this subject line went out, Zelensky was the headline name all over the news. Again, the cultural reference. So Lucy Ricardo is a cultural reference. So is Da Vinci. They weren't top of the news. Zelensky was. When Albert Pujols, here we are in St. Louis, when Albert Pujols left the Cardinals to join the Angels, I wrote a subject line that was something to the effect of why Albert Pujols and my 8th grade girlfriend broke my heart, or something to that effect. I forget what the subject line was exactly, but a very deliberate use of the name, the thing that's in the headlines. How to rise above the dime to dozen. Just another. I'm repeating these on purpose because curiosity plus a promised outcome. Rise above. I want to rise above. That's a good subject line. A marketing legend's wise take on storytelling. I don't even name the name of the person. In fact, most of the people who would read this email, they wouldn't know the person if I used his name in my subject line. But the reference to a marketing legend, that generates a little bit of proof, validity. Oh, this is information based on a marketing legend. I'm in. Ben Franklin's wily ways to turn foes into friends. Again, a cultural reference, but also Ben Franklin comes with that. We all think of Ben as wise, and whatever he has to say, we want to go. And so that lends validity. That's the cultural reference. There's a certain amount of proof and authority because we drop Ben's name, benefit. And there's wordplay. I didn't focus on this elsewhere, but having wordplay and a little bit of personality in your copy is really important. I'm going to keep going just for a second. Disney's magic makers have systems for everything. There's another validity proof, implied authority. I knew I was close to the end, so close. Here's a summary of the tips: spark curiosity, why, how, etc. Promise a big benefit and outcome. I'm going to read it from here. Promise a cautionary anti-outcome and an implied lesson. Mention celebrities, news stories, other widely known people or things. Calls to action work. Include proof or implied authority, and put some personality in your copy and have some fun. So time's up. Q&A. Do I do Q&A or? Okay. I can do Q&A. There's how to contact me. And also, if you want to see more subject lines, you can sign up for my email at storypowermarketing.com/email. Questions? Yes, sir.
What is your advice on smaller companies and frequency that they should interact with their CRM?
With their, how often should they email? So the short answer is, it depends, and I'm not saying that to duck the question. The longer answer is probably more often than you're doing it now, with a caveat. The caveat is this: if you are selling the same or sending the same old boring blah, blah, blah content, you can't send too little. In other words, don't bother. Because if you send the same old boring content, whether you do it daily, weekly, monthly, annually, or once a century, people aren't going to be interested. They're going to tune out. On the flip side, if you send content that's relevant to your prospects and your clients, that's interesting, that's story powered, that is fun, that has personality, you can send far more of it than you might imagine you otherwise could send. I send daily emails, and I'm telling you that I have, well, when you go to that page, you'll see the testimonials. When I heard that you send daily emails, I was very hesitant to sign up. That seemed like so many. And now it's the first thing I look for when I open my email in the morning, because it's captivating, interesting, relevant, and so forth. Most people send too little. Informative and entertaining. Infotaining, okay. Yes. Yeah. So it's not frivolous. That's really important. Entertaining does not mean I'm going to show you cats and lasers and blah, blah, blah. Every email I send, you see it in the headlines. There's an implied benefit. There's a lesson. There's something you can use to grow your business and achieve the promise of creating better content. But I deliver those lessons in an entertaining way. And I could send 7 days a week. I could send 2 a day and people would open up. So, Karen.
Yeah. How do you, okay, so I'm a people person. I love people. And when they unsubscribe, how do you handle that? Like, I want to send something and say, you know, like, I don't want to let it just die there.
Yeah.
And I've also had it where I've had people say, I'm not getting your emails anymore because they accidentally unsubscribed.
Yeah.
You know, which is how I found out 2 people. I mentioned it and they're like, well, one of them said it to me. How come I don't get them anymore? I said, you unsubscribed. And then someone else made a remark. And again, it was I didn't unsubscribe. Well, you did.
Well, right. And so if somebody accidentally unsubscribes and says, I want your emails, the bottom line is you can add them to your system, depending on how your system treats that. Sometimes it's easier said than done, depending on your email system. As far as how to respond when people unsubscribe, generally, you just have to accept the fact that it happens, and you have to look at it as, there's a principle in marketing. We hear so much about the importance of qualifying prospects. It's actually more important to disqualify the suspects, to disqualify the people who are really, in the end, not interested in doing business with you. And so when somebody unsubscribes, I'm like, okay, good. That person is not my person. So be it. Now, if somebody is a client or somebody that I really think is a warm prospect and I'm in the midst of an actual conversation with them and they go away, I have on occasion, but it's a really delicate game, I have reached out and said, hey, I saw you unsubscribe. What's going on? That can really backfire. Usually I just let them go. And I think, great, my list is more focused and honed and all is good. So, Richard.
Yes, more of a testimonial than a comment, but I hated to send mine out, and going through your program, I was doing it bi-monthly, every other month, and it just was the bane of my existence to get it out. And so going with you, I've been doing it now almost weekly, and I did get a testimonial saying that, oh, I opened your email and you must be having somebody else write your copy because it's really good. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you get that recorded? Because I need to pull that as a thing and put that on my website. Thank you, Richard. I'm grateful. Yes, Mark.
So of all the emails you sent, what's your highest open rate and what was that email?
I don't know is the honest answer. And for a lot of reasons that I don't have time to get into, I am less worried about open rate than you might imagine. I mean, what I'm really hoping for with subject lines is that people engage with the email. Open rate is a really fuzzy statistic. And some of the most, I made that point about lower open rate, higher click-through rate, because in the end, oftentimes open rate is not an indicator of business success. So I don't mean to duck the question, but honestly, I'll look at my open rates and see who's engaging. But in the end, that's a vanity metric that matters less to me than you might imagine. One more?
Chicken and egg question.
Oh, yeah.
Do you write the article or do you write the headline?
Yes and yes. Sometimes the post and the email is written before I think of the subject line, probably more often that way. But sometimes that subject line comes to me and I realize I'm going to write underneath that subject line. But more often than not, content first, headline second. Thanks. Great questions.